apologize for that technical glitch, because as we explained yesterday, first of all, you didn't hear me this morning, so good morning and welcome. I trust that you have all had a good evening last night and read through the balance and the remainder of the slides. I'm sure some of you will have questions for me. I just need to get a sense from you up to what time would you like me to continue. I need to be at the airport at about 6 o'clock. I'm flying back to Cape Town. So can you give me an indication how long you would like to bear with me today? So there might be some slides that I might skip, or might have a catch-up session from a home in Cape Town. So it's entirely up to you. Are you comfortable at the pace at which I'm going? Am I going too slow, too fast? Am I giving too many unnecessary examples? Just let me know so I can get a sense.
Let me see, what is 1 o'clock?
Someone said 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock? No, I can't do that. That's way too early. I was looking around about 3, 4 o'clock. Is that too late for you guys?
Yes, it's a bit late.
It's a bit late. Okay, then I'll carry on as much as what I can, and I will see if the numbers start to deplete, and that I know that you guys are tired of me after 2 days, and then we'll do another catch-up session after this. Will that be a plan? All right, so we'll continue as far as we can, and we'll see how we go. So the glitch that you experienced this morning, how do we relate that to the real life and BI and business information systems in the real world? So there's a real example that happened this morning. We have become so dependent on technology, and as I explained in yesterday's lectures, that we can have all the wonderful equipment. You can just see all the equipment that's around me here in the studio, very expensive equipment, but at the end of the day, remember I spoke to you, there was a cycle of hardware, software, networking, and I said to you the most important aspect is people, right? So if there wasn't a technician here to troubleshoot and see where the problem was, we would not have any sound for this particular event. So again, that's another example just to prove to you that you can have the best technology available, but if you don't have the skill, now this technician sitting here has the skill to troubleshoot and find out exactly where the problem was, and he did it, and I was watching what he was doing. He checked all his hardware to see if all his connections are properly done. He unplugged, replugged, and then he went to look at his software, and he went through the various options, and that's where he found the problem. So human beings are important in this whole process. That's what I'm trying to say, and that is where your skill comes in, where you need to upskill yourself to know exactly, should something go wrong, something go pear-shaped, where do you start looking? Okay, so just to give you an idea, if you are in the situation, so people first of all go look at software and look all over. The first thing you do is you see if all your hardware is working, if all the gadgets that you have are plugged in correctly, no one tapped on a cord or something. And then you would go and do a certain process, and then you would go through your software and see what went wrong. So he's made a note to say what he fixed on his software. So should he has a problem next time, you know exactly where he needs to go to see what went wrong. So that is another example, a real life example that you have all experienced, that no matter what sophistication of hardware and software we have, the human being, the human aspect, you are still the important person in this whole cycle. So that's a good example. So yeah, so we stopped at slide 37 yesterday on the firewalls. Now today we're going to speak about something a little bit different, and I'm going to go through different chunks of tools that we would use in our business to ensure that we don't work harder and that we really start working smarter. And the slide that's going to come on the screen now will be slide number 38. And slide number 38 is about VPN, which is an acronym for Virtual Private Networks. So we'll just wait for the slide to load quickly. There we go. Can I see myself in the corner as well? Okay, so People talk about, you know what, you need to, my company's got a VPN, you need to log onto the VPN now and we shouldn't have any problems. So let me just explain to you what a VPN is all about. So the VPN is a sort of a direct line from your company into your business partner's company. It doesn't have to go on the internet as you see there and be caught in the internet and find its way eventually into your business partners or your inter-organizational partner system. When it does that, it takes a while. It gets there eventually, but it takes a while to get there. But it means other people can also start blocking and getting onto your portal, and that in turn makes it a bit slow and a lot of interruptions in your on your particular portal or your business that you set up on the internet. So what the internet service providers have done, they said, okay, if you pay a certain premium, we will give you a dedicated line from your company via the internet into your supplier's company. All right, and that orange little pipe that you see in the center of the circle, that is a tunnel where your company's information flows directly into your service provider's computers or the intranet. Now, I'm not sure whether you are all in government, where the government has got this VPN with all the different SOEs that you are supposed to be servicing. Now, if not, maybe this would be a good opportunity, so at least you don't have to have issues on the internet where it's taking too long to get to the information that you seek. So VPN is a virtual private network, but it's actually a network within the internet, but a more secure type of network. And many big companies where information is crucial and critical, they have this dedicated line into the servers of the suppliers. A few years ago, it used to call the ISDN line. The companies had a dedicated line and they paid a premium price for telecom to ensure that that line is interrupted. Nobody else can use that space as their space. It is like in Cape Town. If some of you have been to Cape Town, you find there are special roads that we have as a red road where the buses only dedicated for buses. And that's a dedicated lane for them only, but of course now and again you'll find the odd taxi trying his luck on that line. So that's what you call a VPN on the highway, as in Johannesburg as well. You know, you have the toll roads where you have to pay, so you can I'm just trying to give you a good understanding for those that struggling to understand the technological terminology that I'm using. I'm trying to use a simple analogy to explain to you what VPNs are about. So in Johannesburg, you have the toll roads, the gantries. So as you drive in, you're paying for it because it's a clear line, it's a clear road, it's a dedicated lane, and traffic flows very fast in those lanes. So that is VPN, okay? And many major companies are opting for the VPN because of the quality and the timeliness of the data and information or whatever they want to send to the companies so they can conduct the business in a more advanced fashion. I'm going on to the next slide, which is called database advantages. Okay, now I'm positive and I'm sure that all of you that are working for government, you must be having a database. You must be having a data warehouse. You must be having a data mart stored somewhere, but you probably don't know about it. Probably your IT guys or your technicians will probably know about it. So as we spoke about this early on yesterday, because of the voluminous nature of the data that we are receiving, you know, each time an electronic invoice gets sent to a ratepayer, to a homeowner, that is information that's being created and stored on the database. And every single transaction now is captured. So sooner or later you'll notice that when you buy a new laptop or you log on to Facebook or you get a new cell phone, all it asks you for one thing, either your Facebook email address or your cell phone number, and then within a few minutes you'll find that all your contacts are suddenly on your phone, on your laptop. You've now connected to all the servers that you've been using, and that just shows you where and how your information has been stored on the cloud, on the various services, on the various platforms. So it's all there. So why am I telling you this? Be very careful what you post on social media, because that information is stored. Even if you send a message to your colleagues or to your friends complaining about your boss or your managers or something bad, and you think you sent it and you deleted that message, it's not deleted. It can be retrieved from the internet service provider's file server. So don't be fooled, okay? If you're in trouble and you're trying to do something bad by sending WhatsApp messages, it can be retrieved. So just be careful on that. Right, so don't get caught out. Even emails, if you think you can delete it from your junk folder, from your deleted items.
Someone muted me.
Sorry?
Sound is good. Sound is good.
It's back. It's back.
Okay, thank you. The sound has been back for about 3 or 4 minutes now.
Someone muted us.
Okay, again, students, please, what some of you are doing, you are interfering with MS Teams settings and you're muting the technician's sound here. That's causing the confusion. So please don't interfere with the sound aspect of it, and don't share your screen, because you just changed everything that's been set up here. Alright, can I ask you please not to do that? So coming back to social media and how you're sharing your information, be very mindful of what you're doing on the internet. So databases can prevent the following problems that often occur, right? Data redundancy. Okay, when there's a lot of data and a duplicate data in 2 or 3 or more lists. So when you store information on a database, it has a filter in there, and it makes sure that only clean and corrected data is stored in the data warehouse. It doesn't want to store nonsense data, because when you retrieve it, you're going to get nonsense data. So it's got a sort of a screening or scrubbing processes that happens before you can transfer information from your file server where it's stored onto your data warehouse or to your data mart. And then the second thing there, we talk about data inconsistency, where different versions of the same data appear in different places. So many of you are probably will admit to this. You create one document, you save it today, and tonight you work on the document and you save it again as another name. Well, I'm also doing that, because sometimes you don't know what you've done on the document, and you keep multiple copies of the same document, and eventually end up with 10 copies of the same document. By the end of the day, you will send the most recent one out and you delete the rest. But sometimes we don't do that, and that's what it's talking about, data inconsistency. And you see it all the time when you take photos with your friends on WhatsApp on camera. You take one photo 10 times and you send the same pic 10 times. Okay, that is seen as data inconsistency. In that case, you would send the best pic to your colleagues and not all 10 of them, right? And the next one there is called inappropriate data. With the list, there are a few checks to make sure that the data is valid. So we don't want to send data that's got no meaning, that's not going to be meaningful, that's just going to take up space and corrupt files. So we want data, for example, if you've got a database that's only dedicated to audio, you only want audio clips in there. Okay, and in that audio clips, we'll say audio clips for module A, which is finance, module B, which is HRM, module C, which is ICT, and that is how you break the subfolders up. So when you search for that information, that data, you know exactly where to find it. It is similarly when you're creating folders on your laptop, on your hard drives, you put all the relevant stuff in the correct folder, so when you want to retrieve it, it is easy retrievable. Okay, and then incomplete data. All right, it is very difficult to tell by looking at a record whether data is available or it was just entered or is truly missing, and this we see quite a lot. Okay, incomplete data. You said when you send an email to a person, dear sir, I'm responding to your email attachments. There are 3 ABC, and when you receive it, you only send 1 document, and then you send 10 emails just to get a balance of the 2 attachments that you forgot to have sent. So be very mindful of that when you are sending people attachments in emails, that you write the names of the attachments that you're saying, so the person that's receiving the email knows I'm expecting 3 attachments, but the sender only sent 2, so 1 is missing. And it could be important tenders, or it could be important documentation that needs to be signed and signed off. So it's very, very important to ensure that when you're sending emails, and this is another chapter again, email etiquette. Okay, so maybe I must just say this here while I am at it. So it's all part of information systems and ICT as well. So as you know, rightfully know, our days are consumed mostly if you're in middle management and senior management, by responding and addressing emails from the various parties and people that you are busy working with. Now, emails can get you into a lot of trouble, and it can save you a lot of time if you use email properly. Now, email etiquette is very, very important. And let me just give you this one bit of advice, and I'm hoping that you will write this down. When you receive an email from anybody, and the email tone frustrates you, angers you, it's got some sort of a bad tone in there, and you're really frustrated, the first thing you do is say, hell with this, let me respond quickly. That's the biggest mistake you're making. The biggest mistake you're making. Never ever respond to an email when you're angry, when you're in a bad mood, and when you don't like the person. Don't respond. Sometimes, like the old saying is, silence is golden. And it really works, I promise you. Sometimes you just relax and you read that email, you leave it, and you carry on with your work. And a few hours later, you will notice how you would have responded differently to that email. So never ever write an email when you are in an angry mood, when you're in a bad mood. No matter how bad that email is, don't respond. I promise you, you'll be my best friend. You will regard me as your best friend for the rest of your life if you just follow this one simple advice regarding email etiquette. It saved me many disciplinary hearings when I told this to my staff. Okay, so think about the email, read it, respond maybe an hour later or the next day when you're in a better mood and you fully understand why that person wrote that email, and don't just respond in haste. That's about email etiquette. Also, when you're responding to email and email is dedicated to one person, don't copy unnecessary people in there. So if you have a problem with your colleague, you write the email to your colleague, but don't copy your senior manager in there to show, now listen, I'm copying the senior manager in to show your incompetence or you're a delinquent in your job. You don't do things like that. Okay? You have a direct correspondence with the person that you're communicating with. Unless there's a real need for senior management to be in that email, then you copy them in there. And when you receive an email, and it's not really necessary to respond to everybody in the email, respond to the person that's sending that email only. It will save you a lot. But sometimes when you ask a question, can you approve this list, and it's 50 people in that list, everybody applies to everybody, say yes, I approve. 50 times 500, you know how many emails you're going to get back coming back, say I approve. Like I said, be mindful of this, and you got to go in there and click on all of them and clean up your inbox. So be careful when you are responding to everybody in your email. Respond only to the main sender. He will know that you have responded to him. You don't respond to everybody. So that's just a little bit about housekeeping and email etiquette and how to respond to emails. Okay? And also, how do you address your fellow members? Some people just say hi, dear, and use all those funny slangs. Try and be respectable using the corporate, dear Mr. ABC, hello Mr. ABC. Okay, and then at least we know, should something go pear-shaped along the line, you won't be responsible, say, but see how you addressed me over here, see, because that small little technical thing can get you into a lot of trouble. So I'm just giving you a bit of email etiquette, because we had some situations at our institution where some people, copied the whole institution when it wasn't actually necessary to do that. And although we send out many emails regarding email etiquette, people still don't adhere to email etiquette. So that's just about email etiquette. Now we're going to go to slide number 41. Now what I want to do today, you'll see I skipped past that case study. The case studies, I thought we'll have a lot of more time so we can go through it and just to see that you're understanding, but I think we need to have another session on those case studies, because more important for me is to get through all the slides that will really make you skilled for your job. And once you've completed all the slides, you'll probably be more or better informed to answer those questions in the case studies. So I will skip them for now, and when we do have time later on, which I doubt, we can go back and have a look at the case studies. But if we don't get to it, you need to please complete those case studies in your own time. Yesterday I spoke a lot about this triangle, and here the triangle is coming up now, and I want you to give you a glimpse of where you fit in the organization. Now that purple section at the base of the triangle, remember I said to you and I asked who are the most important people in the organization, and most of you rightfully said you are the ones that are capturing the data, because if the data is not pure, if the data is not accurate, the data is not captured correctly, every single transaction above that will be incorrect, it will be wrong, and the person right on top there will make wrong decisions. And hence you will see at the base of the triangle, that is the foundation. So you, at your level, you are the foundation of your company. Believe it or not, because if you put in nonsense information or data at the bottom, everything on top will just crumble down because of the wrong information that was captured. And in this slide, it clearly shows that you are in operational management or you are self-directed teams. Your work is very structured, very organized, it's clean, crisp, you know what you're putting in, and that is called the TPS processing system, or the transactional processing systems, or the data capturers, or the clerical workers, the most important people in the company. And that is not being recognized in many companies, and many senior managers take those people for granted, which is wrong. And I've explained to you yesterday why it is wrong, and hopefully you would have made notes on that. Then in the middle, the green section, that's called the tactical management, okay? And those are the business unit managers, the self-directed teams, and that's the people, as I explained yesterday, will create the policy to ensure that it actually happens, that things are being implemented in the company. Now that middle management there is slowly being eroded, as we discussed yesterday, because now we have sophisticated information systems where everything is linked using inter-organizational systems, using ERP, using supply chain management, and decisions are made automatically for us based on proper, clean, correct data that has been captured by you. Hence, someone change the slide there. Hence, it's very important that tactical managers, they need to reskilling themselves or upskill themselves to the next level, because really, what are they doing now? They're just looking at what the computer is saying and they're putting it into action. That you can do as well. Okay, so that middle layer is being slightly flattened, as they're calling now, as the acronym goes, or the saying goes, information systems flatten the organizational hierarchy. You know, you've got the organogram that goes like this, and all the layers in between. When you bring information systems into your company, it sort of flattens everything, takes away all the unnecessary people. But like we said yesterday, we don't have to dismiss those people. We can find other opportunities for them within the company. They can be using their skills elsewhere in a different functional department. So they won't be dismissed from the company, but they can be used, employed elsewhere in the company. You must just excuse my voice. It goes like this because of the humidity in Durban and the aircon and my constant talking all the time. And then right on top in the red, and these are the guys with the MBAs, the PhDs, the people that did all the studying, or some people that have been for many years in the company, that have really grown at the different levels. And based on what was captured at the bottom, based on what they were told by the people in green, they would then make the strategic management directives for the rest of the company. So that is basically how the decision structure in the company works. Strategic level, I've got strategic level, tactical level, functional or operational level. Those are the three main levels in the company. And you, as a young blood and a young generations for the future of South Africa, your aspiration is not to be on the foundation. But here is the trick here. I would rather let you start at the foundation than climbing right up to the top and not knowing what is happening on top. Because when you go directly to the top, and this is what I see in many companies, You got people sitting right on top in senior management, and they are clueless what's happening in the middle management and what's happening in the foundation, and they assume the decisions that they are making right on top will be applicable to everyone below that. Now I'm going to stop here and just ask you a few questions. Have you experienced this in your company? While I have a sip of water, if you don't mind. Where managers at the highest level make decisions and it's not appropriate for you at the bottom. Anybody? Anybody? Don't worry, your managers are not listening, so you can talk. I need to know from you in your company. Okay.
Prof, yes, I do believe that it's something that happens, even looking at targets that are set, very often the staff is not involved in seeing whether they will be able to reach it. It's something that comes from the top. Even with budgeting, even though supposed to have a certain direction to find that it doesn't always happen like that. The decisions are taken and coming down, goes down.
That's so much, very much true. And even in higher education, we also have this problem where decisions are taken at senior management, and it gets forced down to the deans, and the deans then say, listen, this is director from senior management comes to us HODs, and when we look at it, say, but how could they have made this decision without consulting us? Because they don't know what's happening at the rock face. And then we try and give that to your lecturers that's below you, and they will tell you about how is this possible? How could you ask us? I'll give you a typical example. How could you ask us to teach online when students don't know how to get online, when students don't have data, when students don't have laptops? But the directive comes right from the top that everybody must start teaching online, and certain academics don't have any online knowledge. So that's what I'm just giving you an example, and this is what happens. Okay, so this is the problem that you have in leadership, where people that are right on the top, because they are right on top, they think they're making the right decisions, but sometimes those decisions are not right. And the reason is, my leadership skill is I let everybody be in my team. When I'm having a departmental meeting with my staff members, I say, colleagues, here is a situation that requires discussion and your input. This is where the university wants us to go. This is what we need to do. How about we all discuss this and we make a consensus decision so we know what we're all doing the right thing. By doing that, I empower all my staff members to be part of making decisions in my department. Okay, instead of me pushing down decisions down their throat that they might not like. Now, when you become part of decision making, and this is this human being behavior, when you come up with a decision and everybody likes that decision, you will make sure that you're going to drive that. Okay, and you get team members to help you drive it, and then suddenly everyone flourishes in the department, and the project gets rolled out well, and it gets done properly. But when someone says, no, you will do online teaching and you will go on training and you will do that, that is becoming very dictatorial, and that is when you start getting the resistance, and that is when people start distancing themselves from you. And this, unfortunately, is still happening in many organizations, where the people on top, although some of them may be highly qualified, but not all of them are leaders. It takes a long time to really become a good leader. And a good leader is not about having the highest and the best qualifications. Trust me, a good leader knows how to listen to people and how to help people and how to motivate people to take something quite negative and turn it around into positive by using their information that they've given, and together as a team to go in the right direction. Now, when you have that culture and that behavior in your business unit or your little unit in your department, suddenly there will be no negativity, there'll be no backbiting, there'll be no conflict, there'll be nothing, because everybody is working towards a common goal. And information systems helps you to do that. IT will help because you've got a common platform, everybody sees it, there's no monkey business around it or funny business. This is the direction, this is the trajectory, we all agreed, this is the strategy we're going to go, and we're going to make it happen. So this diagram is very, very important. All right, so when you're having a disagreement, it's good to disagree. Don't get me wrong. Critical critique is very good, but it's how you bring it across. Not shouting, not coming in a condescending tonal manner, showing your anger and frustration. You can tell people very nicely to go to hell in a nice way, and they will look forward to go to hell. I'm just giving you an example, but it's how you tell them to do that they will actually find their way going there. Okay, that is the art. That is the art that you need to develop. And you know what? You are all in leadership positions. Very soon you'll be getting into a leadership position. I'm sure you're not going to be staying at that transactional level, processing level. You're now educating yourself, you're skilling yourself, you're going to go on more courses, you're going to go to the next level. And when you come to the next level, you're going to mature more, you're going to be more well seasoned, you're going to start listening to people, you're going to know what IT is all about, you know how to implement it, and your whole character, your whole demeanor will be slightly different. So information system forces you to think along those lines, because now you've got a career plan, objective career plans for you, where you want to be, and it's all clearly stipulated that you want to be at the apex of that triangle, making the correct decisions. And when you get there, coming from the foundation, I promise you, you will know exactly what it feels to be at the bottom when you make wrong decisions on the top. All right, so that's just a bit of encouragement. Also, that's why I say IT covers all aspects. I spoke a bit about HRM and about career planning now. Okay, so you can see what information systems really does to you if you look at it from all the different angles. So the next slide, I just thought I'd expand more on it, because you are working at this level, at the TPS level, and how critical and important your job is for the company. Okay, so a transaction, as you know, is any business event that generates data worthy of being captured and stored in databases. And I've emphasized this so many times, it's got to be accurate, clean, and correct data. Okay, when a business transaction occurs, when shopping products are produced, when shopping at the retail store, every time you do something, every time you swipe your card, a transaction is being done. Okay, transaction upon transaction creates more transaction. That is why we have this thing called big data. This is where big data comes from, the foundation of big data, because everything now is linked. In the past, many years ago, some of you may not have been born, we used to have the prices marked on the goods, and some small corner shops you'll still find you'll have $5.99 or $10.99 on the box, and the guy will ring it up on the till, and that's basically it. But nowadays, you have the barcode, and the barcode gets scanned. Do you know the amount of data that's being emanated just by scanning this barcode when the sale is rung up in a retail store? Okay, when that barcode is rung up, there's a whole science behind this barcode, by the way. The gaps between the barcode, that's what the scanner actually reads, and not the actual barcode, the black lines. Just to let you know. So just to give you some understanding, also about information systems, but also when you go to supermarket, you will appreciate barcodes more now. So the first number you see there on the barcode, I don't think they can see this, okay? But pick up anything in your room, fine, you don't have to change the camera. Pick up any item in your room that's got a barcode on it. The first number you will see is 600. That 600 means the country where it's coming from. So if there's any item that doesn't have 600 on it, it means that it's coming from another country or it's being imported. Okay, so that's what the first three numbers mean. The next three numbers is the supplier where it's coming, and next 3 to 4 numbers. Okay, I've done this many years ago. Okay, the next 4 or 5 numbers are the supplier where it's coming from, but the last 4 digits are most important. that is actually the price that's embedded in this item. Okay, but this item now is also now on the back end system of the retail store. So when they scan this barcode and it scans the gaps between these black numbers in between, you can see this, and that's how it picks up the item on the shelf, okay, on the particular thing, and the last 4 numbers are the prices. Now you might ask me, so how do they determine the price of a weighted item? Let's say something in the fruit and veg department, in the butchery department, or an item that's worked by weight. That's all calculated. You'll see that number will start with a 2-1, meaning that it's an in-store barcode and it's an item that's been weighted, item that needs to be placed on the scale, and that's how the price per kilogram gets determined. So coming back to the amount of information that's received on the barcode, that goes into the back end system of the retail store, and then in the retail store, obviously you because of the voluminous data that's coming out, the system automatically tells the retail store manager, listen, today 500 boxes of Strepsils were sold, and you need to increase your order on this particular product so we don't run out of stock. Okay, automatically the system will create a purchase order. We will come to electronic data interchange if you do get it later on, and that order will then send an alert to whoever's buying the items in the store and say, listen, because of the rate of sale of this particular product, you need to order more, and the buyer will confirm or reject or change the quantities. Remember, human intervention is important, or the system will just say, listen, I need 500 boxes of this, and it will go through automatically. But if you have a flag saying don't send any order automatically, it needs intervention from the buyer, that can also happen. And off the order goes off to your inter-organizational system supplier, and he gets the order and he knows when to deliver it. So just by picking this up and scanning it, an order gets created and sent off to the supplier, and in 2 days time, based on the amount of stock that you have in the store, because now when you buy this one item, the item on the shelf gets reduced. It looks at the items that's stored in the storeroom. It knows after 3 weeks this item will be replenished in the store, and within week 5 the item that has been placed with the supplier needs to be replenished so that the stock on your shelf can be sorted out. Okay, and that is just a whole nother topic on its own, on retail supply chain management. Okay, that's how that system works. Also on a just-in-time system. And then sometimes when you go to a grocery store, you will notice that there are some items that are out of stock. Either means 2 things: that the store owner hasn't managed his inventory properly, that he's not using computerized systems, or he is using it and the supply is out of stock, or that he's got a very bad supplier that doesn't know how to maintain stock levels. Okay, so that is how the whole thing works. When you actually walk into store and you see all of these things happening, how it all impacts you. And when you come to supply chain management later on, but all of this could not have been done 15, 20 years ago. Okay, so how did we get to barcodes? About, I think, 30 years ago, our good friend Raymond Ackerman went abroad, and he was the guy in South Africa that had many of the pick and pay stores, and he was an entrepreneur and an innovator, and he saw the scanning happening abroad, and he brought it into his stores, and the rest of the markets looked at him and said, but this guy is crazy, he's investing so much of money in scanning these items. The people like Checkers and OK Bazaars and Spars and Woolworths those years, they say, but this guy is crazy, what's he doing? He's spending so much of money. But you know what? He was a leader. If it wasn't for him that introduced scanning in the retail store, we wouldn't have had scanning. As soon as the other retail stores saw that, hey, Mr. Shopper goes into the store, the queues are shorter, the price is accurate, and more importantly, Mr. Shopper got a detailed itemized bill. She could see exactly what she bought and the price. In the old days, you would just get a till slip with numbers on it, and you don't know whether the cashier punched the correct amount in. Okay, I'm not sure some of you can remember those days when we didn't have scanning, and we wouldn't know. We'll just see prices on there, and sometimes cashiers can, instead of making an 8, they can make a 9. And you don't know because the till slip is long if you're not careful. But nowadays, because of scanning, we have itemized till slips. And that's all because of scanning and the innovative and creative ideas of Raymond Ackerman. When the other stores saw the advantages and the benefits of scanning, suddenly they jumped on the bandwagon, and that's how scanning became a norm in South Africa. Okay, but at the end of the day, Raymond Ackerman of Pick n Pay was a leader. He saw the light. He knew what was good for his business. He looked and he learned and he implemented. The others looked, copied and implemented. And that's the difference. Okay? You're either a copycat, or you're a creative person, or you're innovative, or you're an entrepreneur. And that is what you need to be. Not a copycat. It's very easy to copy something. But when you create something and you put a patent on it, okay, you couldn't put a patent on this, but this is what is so abroad. But the mere fact is this scanning revolutionized the Pick n Pay stores in South Africa, and everybody now has now done that. That's just to give you a bit of history of how scanning works in the store. But there's a lot of more things that I can talk about retailing and scanning in the store, but it's going to take up too much of time. Very, very interesting about scanning and how it works, and how it really helps the business grow, because at the end of the day you can see the lines or the products that are not selling, the slow sellers, the fast sellers, what needs to be replenished and why it needs to be replenished and why we changed. Remember I asked you to write down something, why the store layout gets changed all along. Hopefully I'll get you that section somewhere along the line here, but it all again comes down to the transaction processing system. Now remember, in the computer, in the back office, when I say back office, in the store you get the front office and the back office. The front office talks about the tools and the cashiers, what they do in front. That's a whole front end system. And the back office is about what happens in the back of the store when the goods come in, how the goods get loaded on the systems, how the prices get changed, where they're supposed to be in the store. So that's referred to as back office systems. So some of you might have been in retailing and will know these terminologies. Okay, so these are two separate systems, but they're all linked together using enterprise-wide systems. So look at this. You've got your front end system talking to your back end system. It must talk to it, because when you scan a price at the till, it must reduce the stock in the back. When the stock gets reduced in the back office, it must link to your supplier to replenish your stock. And that's called the whole ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, and linked to your supply chain management. So you see how I'm trying to bring all of these systems together, and they're not sitting in silos. So when you walk into the store next time, just instead of looking at the products and looking at things and doing other things besides your shopping, think how the whole system works and what you've learned and how well it's working. You'll be amazed. You might not end up doing the shopping that you're supposed to be doing by thinking about these things, but it's good to know about this when you walk into a store. Right, so every transaction creates some form of data. The next slide is slide 43. Are we there? Okay, so TPS is now computerized because we have the barcodes. We've got chips, and I'll talk about these chips later on. Not the chips that you eat, it's called RFID chips, little chips. I'm trying to look at something to see if I can find something, but I don't see it here, just to show you what it looks like, but we'll get to that. Every single item nowadays that's been manufactured will have some form of RFID chip in it or a barcode, because data gets created on that. So that is where the data gets created, and that's why we have this voluminous data. And the next slide here, this is just to add more time, just to supplement the previous slide, that TPS data is being continuously collected. And because we have become so sophisticated in collecting data, we are trying to get away from you physically capturing the stuff on the computer, because there is a percentage of human error. Now we want to try and get away from the human error, and by getting away from the human error, we want to make sure that there's either a barcode or an RFID chip. I'm using this word without explaining to you. Radio Frequency Identification Detection. That's what it stands for, and I'll explain to you that later on. But just remind me, colleagues, students, if I don't explain to you what that is. Okay? So we want to try and get away from people actually sitting behind the computer doing monotonous work, because capturing data, like like the accountants are capturing numbers all the time, it becomes monotonous after a while. So we want that to be captured electronically. Does someone want to ask a question? Because I hear some sounds on the speakers here. No. Okay. So the next screen, which is slide 44. Now that is, if you're a manager one day, hopefully you'll soon get there, or a CEO of a company, when you get to work, this is what you want to see. You want to see how healthy is your company. Okay? By looking at those funnels, looking at the graph, looking at the dashboard, everything must be green. We made it such a way that if everything is green, your eyes see the colors very, very quick. If everything is green, okay, at one glance, my company is doing well. If anything is red there, okay, here something is wrong. Something is not right here. Let me hone into this. So if you click on something that was red, it will tell you, hey, listen, yesterday our sales for the day is supposed to have been 100,000, but it's only 85,000. It will be flagged as red because you have set up those parameters. You then go into that sales, into the sales for the day. You will then go into the categories and see which category in my store were the sales not sufficient. And then suddenly, if you go through the 15 or 16 categories in your store, remember your store is demarcated, your retail store is demarcated into various categories. You'll have your health and beauty products, you'll have your the haberdashery products, you'll have the biscuits and cereals, you'll have the tea and coffees, you'll have the cool drinks, and that is how your store is segmented. So now you've got the whole layout of your store, but then you say, but hang on, let me go into the categories and see where there were no sales, right? And then suddenly you see in one department, let's say dog food. Sales in the dog food aisle has dropped, and that's causing a drop in sales. Then you need to go and look and see, now why have the sales in my dog food department dropped? Okay, and determine why. Then you go and interrogate your systems with all the data that they have using business intelligence, artificial intelligence, and draw some graphs and see, but hang on, we've changed our supplier and we're getting a different type of dog food. And obviously customers that are buying the dog food are not buying the same dog food because the dogs are either getting sick or the dogs don't like the food, so they're just not buying the product. So from that information you can determine, hang on, we're buying the wrong type of dog food, that's why our sales went down, if the customers don't complain to you. Now that is using information technology to help your business grow. I'll give you a very simple example there of how you can see what is going wrong in your store. That is why I'm saying, if you understand IT and you know what information systems is all about, it's very, very difficult for you to fail in a retail store, because every single item that's bought in that store is monitored, and you know exactly what items are not selling and what items are selling well. Just by looking at that dashboard, at the flick of a button, you can change things around in your store. So that's a very good performance dashboard that you need to have. And many people in senior management, and later on in the slides right at the back, I think I've put a cockpit there to show you all the various screens. It's like the screens you see when you look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. You find all the rates around. So that is what they're looking at. If anything is not right, it will stand out in red and will flash at you. So that is how you use technology to grow your business, to sustain your business, and to have a competitive advantage over your rivals. Now take note of the words that I used here. I did not say sustainable competitive advantage. Why? Can anybody tell me why? And I'm going to wait for an answer. Why did I not say sustainable competitive advantage? Why did I say competitive advantage? Let's say I'm Pick n Pay and you are ShopRite and someone else is Woolworths, and I have this technology in my store as Pick n Pay. I'm saying to you, I have a competitive advantage over Woolworths and ShopRite and Spar, but I cannot say I'm having a sustainable competitive advantage over them. Why do I say that? I'm probing your brains now to see if you really follow me what I'm trying to say here. And I'm using IT to see if you understand that. So anybody try and give me an answer. Remember, nobody can see you, they can only hear you, and there's no such thing as a silly or stupid question or answer. Come on, be brave. It's Friday today. Are you guys around?
Morning.
Morning. There's 249 of you today here. One person didn't attend. I'm looking at the amount of students on the screen here. I'm sure out of 249, 10 of you can give me an answer. I heard a morning, that's all I heard, and disappeared. Question is, why am I not saying sustainable competitive advantage, but I'm just saying competitive advantage?
Can I try, Prof?
Please, of course.
It is not sustainable because wherever your competitor is, might do some innovation perhaps in the future, get an advantage over you. If we take our current situation, for instance, Checkers currently has an initiative where they deliver your groceries at home, which other shopping centers at the moment are not doing. So it can't be sustainable because the one might always come up with something later.
That's very good. Anyone else? Anybody else?
Can I try?
Of course.
Hello?
Yes, you can try, of course.
Yes, I think it is not a sustainable competition or competitive advantage because it can change anytime.
Okay. Good. That's very good. I notice all the ladies are answering. What happened to the guys? Come on, guys. I need some answers from you. Surely some of you must be in senior positions. Okay, so the ladies were correct. With information systems, it is not possible to say that you can have a sustainable competitive advantage. Sustainable means that you've got it, and only you've got it, and you can sustain it. Yes, you can sustain it, and you keep it going for maybe a month or 2 or 3 months. It will remain a competitive advantage, but it cannot be sustained. You cannot keep it forever for yourself. The reason is, with Raymond Ackerman, I use him as an example. When he came with scanning, he brought it into his stores. Everybody else saw what he brought in, and they all purchased the same software from the supplier where he got it from, and they put it into into their companies. So with IT, it doesn't belong to one person only. You can go out and buy it and put it into your system as well and use it. Okay, so with information systems, nothing is sustainable. You cannot have a hold on it for yourself because it can be purchased, it can be bought, the idea can be stolen or copycat from someone else, and you could do the same in your store. But you do have something called first leader advantage. So that 6 to 8 months that Raymond, or 1 year that Raymond Ackerman had, that leadership qualities, or the first leader, whatever terminology, I forget what it is that he used, first leader advantage, he created that advantage for all his stores. He made all the sales, he capitalized on all that, while the other stores still had to go and implement all of these things. So he had the first leader advantage capability with him before the other stores. But eventually, all the other stores saw the advantage and they mimicked him. That's why we cannot say sustainable advantage in information systems. Whatever you have can be replicated by somebody else. So be very careful in your talking or in your conversation when you're speaking about IT. Nothing is sustainable in IT because it can be replicated elsewhere. And that was the answer that I was looking for. Thank you for that, ladies. The next item on the screen slide will be supply chain management systems. And I touched on this earlier on. So maybe we can just, okay, the slide has changed. Now that gives you a lovely picture there. In the middle you see the intranet. Intranet is a little internet inside your company. Okay, so there's the intranet, INT, then you get the extra, EXTR, extranet, and then you get the internet. Don't get confused. They all mean different things. The internet, that is the one that most of you are accustomed to. The extranet is when you have similar business partners in different locations. Sorry. And they are all linked together via a wide area network using fiber optic cables, as we spoke yesterday. And then we have the intranet, which is inside your company, okay, linking all the various functional departments. Now, supply chain management, you can see all the legs that it has to it. Is data flowing in and out, and it's all sitting on the intranet, which is the file server sitting in the center. And you can call that a mini enterprise-wide system within your company. You can see the customers, the order pricing, the scheduling, procurement, distributors, inventory, all linked together. And that diagram that you see there is, if you want to have a graphical depiction of supply chain management, that is what you must try and memorize in your mind when people talk about SCE management. Okay, so that intranet integrates all the information from all the different suppliers, the logistics service into one area where it can be shared amongst everyone, because everyone is depending on certain information. For example, production is dependent on the amount of sales, on the amount of procurement. Supplies are dependent on how much raw materials need to be given to the supplier, to the production people to order produce. Logistics needs to know how many items needs to be packaged for distribution, and the retailers need to know when is my stock coming. So everything is all linked together. Now imagine if these were all standalone entities, what a mess up it would be. And in some companies this still happens, where the one person does not know what the other person is doing because they've got disparate systems. The systems are not linked. That is why the ERP systems, which is the enterprise resource planning system, links all of these systems together. So you have a smooth flow of information in your company. And that is where we're heading towards. We have packages for small companies, medium companies, micro companies, large companies, and very, very, very large companies. Okay, SAP, most of you must have heard about SAP, very, very large enterprises, very expensive software. But the money that you invest in that software will write itself off within 4 to 5 years on the amount of savings and the amount of benefits that you would have by using systems to navigate and to get your business on the right footing. So yes, it is expensive to have these technologies and hardware and software and people and training and IT in your company, but look at the long-term benefits. Instead of having your business for 5 years, as I say, most businesses fail in 5 years, your business can run for 50 years. If you keep technology updated, if you keep your skills updated, remember the human aspect, and then your business will be sustained using the correct technologies. Okay, so don't limit yourself only to yourself in the South African borders, because now the world is flattened. You can negotiate any price anywhere in the world. Okay, because things are easily available now, but just using information systems, which you can find out exactly what does it cost to make this pen in South Africa, what does it cost to be made in China, what does it cost to be made in India. Okay, by a click of a button, and then you can decide what's the best price you want to sell it for in South Africa. That's how competitive we have become, and that's what systems help you do. So why are we not using this in South Africa at the moment? I'll give you an example. South African Airways, and you probably all know about this. They've ordered water at one stage for South African Airways. Now all of you know that a bottle of water costs about how much, Vic?
1 What are like in
Like this, yeah. One's like this, about 3 rand, 4 rand.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to buy a border. They're selling it to SAA for 15 rand. Right? Now that's ridiculous. No wonder SAA is in trouble. Am I right? What went wrong there? Why did they not use ERP systems? Why did they not use supply chain management? Why did they not check the procurement levels? And because of that, that is why we're in such a mess in this country. Because we don't use systems. Why don't we use systems? Do we have the right people in the right jobs, ensuring that we don't pay 15 rand for a bottle of water that costs under 5 rand? So that is the problem. And you can see these state-owned enterprises that is going haywire in South Africa is all because of mismanagement, people not using systems. People don't want to use systems because in a system you cannot mess around with it. It's got a record, it's got a log, by the way, of every single transaction that has been done. It's called an audit log that's running in the background. So people can see who changed. Even you say, it's fine, you said I can sell a bottle for 5 rand, I'll change the price to 15 rand, but it will say exactly who changed that price of water for 15 rand. And the question will ask, why did you change that bottle to 15 rand? Right? So that is how systems can help you contain your business. You can run your business sitting in the comfort of your home. You don't have to go into your office anymore. Just looking at systems, if you've got the right system to run your business. So that is the power of information systems, and the power is in your hands, in your skill, by upskilling yourself, by ensuring that you understand how systems work. It is not difficult. It is a bit complicated, but if you do it piecemeal, you will get the hang of it. Okay? But not everything that I'm explaining here that you are actually using in your company. You probably use certain parts of it, but if you use it well, it will make a difference. You will stand out. Okay? So access to this private internet can also be extended to the authorized suppliers, distributors, and all of those things as written there. So this is not limited to your company. You create that link, that VPN to all your suppliers, and then everybody is connected. And everybody knows exactly how many bottles of water does SAA need, because they've got international flights, they've got local flights. They know exactly all the flights that's going out. They know exactly how many passengers are on the flight. They know exactly what the bookings are. But do we have that in South Africa? Can we run a good airline system? It's not difficult to run SAA, but we make it difficult for ourselves. SAA at one stage was one of the best airlines in the world, with the best pilots in the world, if some of you did not know that. Look where we've gone today. Also, let me just tell you something else about Eskom. 25 to 30 years ago, Eskom was known as the best, biggest enterprise run in the world. If you didn't know that, Eskom was one of the best enterprises managed properly in the world. I cannot say that today. Sadly, you guys know the answer to that. Let's go to the next slide, please. A little more about supply chain management systems. If you have any questions, please, I'm asking that you stop and ask me the questions. If it's something that you want to know, what can be done in your company that I'm touching on, please ask those questions. Don't feel shy, okay? The person listening to you also don't know and is also shy. So global supply issues now, remember in the past we used to struggle to talk to our people abroad. Many years ago, when we wanted to do business abroad, we had to find people, put them on a plane, let them travel to China, India, America, Pakistan, wherever, to go and find stuff. Nowadays we don't have to do that. Right now I'm sitting in Durban, I'm talking to 250 of you across South Africa. I don't have to leave the comfort of my home. Okay, I had to come here because it's a studio and we had to do certain things. But 25 to 30 years ago, we couldn't do that. Now we can do that. So conducting a business today, it's such a pleasure to do it if you have the right systems in place to do it. And hence I sometimes struggle to find, why are these businesses failing? But you know why they're failing. Just to digress very quickly. So you have one big order, and you do this order, and you're successful, and you make maybe 500,000 and profit. And the typical thing is, once you made the 500,000 profit, you spend 450,000 on a flashy car, on the most expensive shoes, bag, clothing, houses, parties, entertainment, and it's enough 50,000 rand will be enough. And that's the biggest problem. because you've never seen so much of profit in your life before, so you spend all your money. But we have systems in place, and you have your pre-planning and your scenario planning. There's something else we can touch on later on how you want to plan your business. You can grow that business and become a multi-billionaire overnight just by using systems to help you do that. Okay, but if you don't have that in place, you can be a millionaire today and a pauper tomorrow. Okay, it's human nature, but you need to condition yourself, need to know how information systems, how technology can curb these unnecessary behaviors of certain people, not all people. Okay, so just be careful. I'm not generalizing to everybody. Some people know how to use systems, they use systems to grow their business, and other people just blow all the money that they find, and tomorrow they are paupers. So the internet really helps companies manage aspects of global supply chains. You don't have to go overseas. You can, like I showed you pictures the other day of the different types of twisted pair, fiber optic coaxials. I don't have to go overseas to see what a bag looks like. They can show me a picture. They can do the virtual reality of it. They can do many things. So I don't have to travel anymore. Okay, that's all out the door. We can do it using the systems that we have in place, and that is the power of technology. Okay, so I still struggle to find why many of these businesses are struggling nowadays when we have all the technology at the tips of our fingers. Sourcing, transportation, communication, international finance can be done. You know, when you want to convert currency from yen or rupees or dollar to South African rand, it's all readily available. You can already see now using technology that we have. So the internet, supply chain management, ERP has flattened the global environment, so you can conduct business anywhere, anytime, any place, to ensure that your business becomes or remains sustainable. Remember, all of the stuff that I'm teaching you here is all about how to skill you to ensure that your business is sustainable. Even if you are working for a particular company, that you bring your part to the table to ensure that your little business unit remains sustainable and successful, because if that fails, you will be out of a job. Okay, so whatever you learn today, please at least put one thing into practice. So the next slide is slide 47. I'm skipping the case study. Now here is the future. Look into the future. It's probably here already. Most of you probably say, but this is here already. The future of internet-driven supply chain management. As you can see, all those arrows on that picture there are all going both directions. And the reason why? They're all connected via the internet. They all have VPNs. They all have enterprise systems. They all have inter-organizational systems. And they're all just linked to each other like a big puzzle. So why is it difficult to conduct good, clear, honest, transparent business across the world? Just looking at that diagram, can anybody give me a reason why we cannot create good, honest, transparent, sustainable business? Just looking at that diagram over there. It's very hard, it's very difficult to fail at it. Okay, so the future of internet supply chain, like a digital logistic nervous system. That's like a whole nervous system, and that is why companies in Singapore, in India, in America, Germany, the European countries, they are so successful because they use systems like this. What they learn, they put into practice. They make sure that the technology works for them. They don't work hard, but they work smart. They only want to press one button to ensure that something happens. And that is where we need to aspire to be. Okay, to make sure that our systems, that we put so much money into our systems, into the company, that it actually works for us. It's like this. Your cell phone, your smartphone, I'll use this because everyone walks around with this. How many of the features on this tablet that on the smartphone that you use every day? Tell me honestly, do you use all of them? No, you only use some of them. But there's so much of features on here. Same in your motor vehicle. And what amazes me is look at people with those brand new BMWs, Mercedes Benzes, and whatever vehicles are there. But when they're driving, they still got the phone to the ear. But yet there's Bluetooth in the car. Why are they not using it? Same thing with information systems. You've got all the systems there, but you only want to use it to place an order with the supplier, and that's it. You don't want to monitor it. You don't want to track and trace. You don't want to see any currency conversions. You don't want to check out the expectancy date of it. You don't want to see the quality of it. If you're ordering fresh produce, when the potatoes has been taken out of the ground, when it's going to be washed, when it's going to come into your store, what's the quality going to be like. You don't want to do all of that, but it's all right there. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm saying this is the systems is there to support you, but you need to be conducive to the system. You must be able to talk to the system and say, I need this information. How can I get it out of you? I've got the skill. There are skills available. Many other stuff that I'm talking to you about, you go to YouTube, you can Google it. It will be there. You can upskill yourself. Okay? So basically, the future of the internet, it says here it provides multi-directional communication. And the most important thing in this whole setup here is communication. If you don't have effective communication, then this will fall flat on its back. Okay, so communicating is very important. Communicating the right place at the right time and the right article or item that you want is very, very important. Okay, so this is a lovely sketch, a pictorial view, because it's very, very difficult to picture this when you're sitting in your office environment thinking, now, you know what, I am in, let's say I'm in distribution in my company, but you don't know what the customers are all about. You don't know what the logistics, what impact that has on you. But you know what? If you look at this picture, you can say, I'm in distribution. If I mess up here, it's going to mess everybody below me on the bottom here. It's a nice time to picture. If you make a mistake, if you did something wrong, all the other people that it's going to affect. Okay, so if you do make a mistake, you know, we're all human beings. We do make mistakes. Inform the people below. Listen, instead of saying 500 items to be distributed, 50,000 items are going to be distributed. I made a mistake with 10. So people can plan to say, okay, there's a mistake coming through, we know what it is, now we will contemplate on what we need to do. But if you remain silent, then you are to be blamed. Okay, I'm just trying to tell you that we do make mistakes. The human intervention is always there, and we're trying to get away from that. We're trying to automate everything so we don't make mistakes. Okay, in other words, the shrinkage in accounting terms must be less than 0.05, because every time there's shrinkage, it costs money for the company to recuperate later on. It takes, if you lose 1 rand, it takes 3 days to cover up for that 1 rand that you've lost. All right, that's just to give you an idea of how long it takes. So it basically, the interconnectivity of all those dots there help manage relationship with firms and suppliers. Remember, input and output, that's just helping the relationship. Okay, I will skip the case study and I'll go to the next slide, which is application modules. Let's skip that slide. Here we go. So now I spoke a lot about the, do you have to have a break or must we wait, or what do you think?
I think give it a few more minutes because we started a little.
Okay, we'll give it, we'll see how far we go. Let me just tell me when you guys need to break. So enterprise resource planning application modules. So these are the basic modules in an ERP system. ERP is software, and in that software you have those 2, 4, 6 little blocks around it that makes up the whole ERP system. And you can see there, I can't see from here, so it's manufacturing, and below manufacturing you have MRP, which is materials requirements planning. If you're in the motor industry, you got research and development, you got work center scheduling, maintenance. I'm not going to read all of that. You can read that. But under each heading, you can see there are subheadings of what those systems are. Now, if you take away the ERP system in the center there, and you take away the lines that join them together, and imagine I'm in manufacturing and you are in HR, and I have a problem in manufacturing. Suddenly a huge order of motor vehicles came into play. I need more staff in my production line, and I am sitting in PE, but my human resources are sitting somewhere in Grahamstown, just to give you an idea. So I need to pick up the phone, or I must get in my car and drive there and tell him, listen, this is what's happening in my production line, this is the amount of staff that I need, can you organize the staff, or whatever. Do you see how inconvenient that is? But if we have the ERP system, and I say, listen, HR systems, I've got a workflow coming through, and there's an increased workflow, but I will not be able to deliver because I have a shortage of manpower. ERP system will see, okay, let's see if this guy really needs manpower. Yes, he does. Start putting the advert out, start doing the interviews, start employing people. Within a couple of minutes, that can be done. If you have the ERP systems, now that ERP system links all of the others, individual standing products together, and that is the power of ERP systems. As mentioned to you, there's the Oracle systems, the SAP systems, and there are a few other ERP systems that I wrote down somewhere in my notes, just to give you of what they are. Try and find it here, but I'll get to it. I wrote it somewhere along there. The SAP, Oracle, IBM, and Microsoft, they all have this ERP system to link all these standalone packages together. So the major objective, I got it on the screen there, the major objective for the ERP system is to integrate all the functional systems together to form a single computer, so you would know exactly what's happening and the impact that it has on all the other business units, so to speak. Okay, so what does ERP system, what does it support? It will support supply chain, it supports customer relationship management, it will support knowledge management systems, it will support business process management systems, it will support decision support systems, and lastly but not leastly, expert systems as well. So basically it will support any system where enterprise resource planning is being implemented or taking place. So that is the power of an ERP system. Yes, but you might say, no, I'm such a small company. You get scaled down versions of these things as well. It also supports business intelligence and artificial intelligence as well, because onto this system here, you can draw another line across any one of these models, and you can make another square there and say database. And you can put all these things into the various databases because of the volume of data that you're going to be collecting from that particular system over there. All right, so I think we shall stop here because the next section is called artificial intelligence. Okay, so I'll give you a 10 set, okay, till quarter to 11. We come back at quarter to 11 and we're going to start on artificial intelligence, which is slide 50. Thank you. Are there any questions before we log off? Anyone? No? Okay.